Welcome back, everyone. I can't believe it's episode 47. We are so close to 50, so it's time to get crazy. Um, but Balaji, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rajni. How about yourself? Finally, things are cooling down in LA. I'm happy now.
Weather is doing the crazy stuff that's doing in our AI world. So, as usual, there's so many neat things going on there. Let's start with some things that everybody's talking about. So, the the naming convention throws me off. The O1, the four zeros. I wish they had better names that we could remember, that we could use. But anyway, this is what it is. We'll run with it. But ChatGPT released a O1 version of their tool that is supposed to have better reasoning and better math and coding problems, and it is helps you solve more research oriented, more deeper problems and more reasoning problems, right? So that's the intent of it. I don't think I was using the right use cases. It'll be nice for us to just to give the audience a preview of what does it do, and who what is the use case that really gets value out of it, right? So do you have you had a chance to play with it? Any initial feedback on it?
Oh, absolutely, Rajni. I think, yeah, on the topic of naming, probably they should submit that to the reasoning engine to figure out. Maybe it'll find a better way to reason with it. But just a pun intended. So I think again, I went after the basic what do you call the opening screen for O1 preview, which said, "Hey, is
Mhm.
hot dog a sandwich?" or "Solve this math problem." See what kind of difference it makes when it comes to GPT 4.0 versus O1, right? Just to put it side by side, because one comes up with the answer instantly, the other goes through this multi-step process to figure out the best way to answer. I think the effort here is to try to emulate the reasoning that humans do, and trying to come up with the answer, right? So that's
Perfect.
basically it. That's all I did, and we can play with it while we are on this show.
Yeah, let's work on it. Just to kind of set the expectation, right? This is from Neuron, one of the newsletter we reference a lot. Is one of the experts' opinion, not ours, is while O1 can do amazing stuff, the performance improvement from 4.0 is being compared to difference between a completely incompetent grad student to a mediocre but not completely incompetent grad student. So I just want to set that expectation because I think it's very well captures the what we did without playing it out. Again, we're not experts, but we've done some of that. And what I think you're showing right now is some of the it's an IQ result from it's not from which country is this IQ result from? Oh, Norway. Mensa
I think,
Norway's put this out.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
from a website trackingai.org. Um, so that they are publishing this. Yeah.
good. So it's basically Mensa Norway. So what it's showing you is O1 model is ahead of the curve compared to other models, and is definitely ahead of a very smart Norway person at this point. So, which is great. That's it. That we are marching slowly towards our AGI. But the point is trying to do is that from a reasoning perspective, and usually IQ tests are a good way, or I shouldn't say good way. They are one of the ways that we've been able to classify whether people are smart or not. And one version with reasoning is showing that is smarter than the rest of people like me who are in the other side of the curve. So that's good.
I know this is fun. Again, we can definitely talk about the yardstick we are using to measure these kind of
Yeah.
things, right? I think this is all uh, set by people to have a standardized way of measuring people's intelligence of sorts, right? I mean, who's to say there could be another way to measure people's intelligence? But let's go with it for now, right? The IQ test is one way to measure it, and if you score high, you're supposed to be a genius. And though it's not completely proven, that's the only way to be genius. Um, so it looks like. See, here's the thing, Rajni, when it comes to all of these standardized tests and ways of measuring, um, this is how we have been progressing with AI, right? So whatever tools we have built in the past century or before, just try to put it through paces through that to come up with, hey, I'm leading the pack or you're leading the pack type thing. So given with all the power and all this compute, why is no one trying to find a different way to do things? That's the first question I have. Like, is there a pressure where you have to prove that you fit through this square box or whatever, right? That we have used for last 100 years to measure things to show that this is progress. That, again, maybe I'm a contrarian here, but I'm just asking these questions. Like, why is it the same way every time? Take one of the previous tests and then prove that you're better in that test.
So the bottom line is we are comparing it to how we think, right? What I mean is for us to comprehend the smartness of any software or platform is how does it compare to the humans? Maybe that's to your point, that now might not be even the right yardstick to measure AI, right? So that's true. I'm pretty sure right now we are struggling to put our hands around what it means from an intelligence perspective. And the closest thing we have is IQ test and Turing test and all that, right? So that's what we're going to use until we find a absolutely better way to actually quantify this. So I agree with that, and I think some of the tests that we are going to show is just mostly what I'll consider as simpler things, and just to do a comparison. But I think just like anything else is released new, it's going to take a lot of analysis from experts in this area that require deep expertise for us to really find some use cases. But for just our own entertainment purpose, it would be nice to just compare what does no
Right.
one do it for. Yeah,
Absolutely. So there's this the plain GPT 4.0 question is a hot dog a sandwich, right?
complain now. There you go.
Right.
That's how fast it's
Uh,
moving.
so it comes up. It comes up with this answer immediately. Again, I picked this because it was on the dashboard of O1 previews and
Recommended
as
question, right?
yeah, recommended question, right? So again, it goes through this pros and cons and arrives at the answer. Like ultimately, it depends on your definition of what a sandwich is or how you make a sandwich or what is it, right?
Mhm.
So it's subjective. Um, Now, if you go through the same question, I was hoping to find some revelation, but let's see what it does, right? It thought for 7 seconds, right? This is what it said, and it went through all these questions before it came up with the answer. Policy rules, right? Is this even something that I should answer, right? Debating definitions, like, okay, so trying to find out why this is even a question, what's causing it to reason, right? Investigating the classification. Um, so it goes through, okay, fair enough. It goes through multi-step process, but the end result is
It's
no
showing you
different.
the thinking process too, right? Like behind the scene, what is it doing? At least it's trying to kind of fill in the blanks when you're waiting for 7 seconds. So at least it gives you a show and tell on, hey, we're gonna show you if you had to humanize this thing, how it's thinking through the process, right?
Correct, correct. It's interesting how this is evolving, right? So it goes through this whole process, and again, the conclusion is pretty much closer to what the other one came up with, which is again, it depends what you treat a sandwich. Is it wrapped in a bread
Yeah.
or is it wrapped in something else? So the key question I have at this point is that what is the purpose of this reasoning and showing and taking extra time, right? Is it again, we spoke offline, and is it a way to show that psychologically make people believe? Are we subject to like this test, and we tend to believe more if we thought that there's some thought, put some thought into it? Again, at the end of the day, if it's bullshit, people definitely will call bullshit at the end, right? It's not going to escape the bullshit test. But what about things in between? This is where it gets tricky, right? It's not a zero or a one or a true or false answer, but there's a lot of gray shades, and that's where this thinking process comes. If someone thought and answered, is it better than just immediately coming up with the same answer? Because we all have the
Yeah.
same experience in the real world, right? People say, hey, you didn't even take more than 2 seconds to come up with the answer. Why don't you go do your homework and come back? What if the answer is the same?
Yeah. So we don't give credit if it's too fast. We don't give credit if it's too cheap. So
Correct.
my sometimes even consultants, even though they're the answers, they can't tell you right away just because you're like, oh my god, he didn't even think about this. Why am I paying him $5,000? So now if I go take 2 days and say the same thing that I was going to tell you in 2 seconds, people like, oh, I have that value. He worked there. So is that what they're doing? Is we're just going to give you some rotation, say we're going to do this, and then come up with the exact same answers. Again, I know we are poking and making fun of it too, but for simpler questions, that's what it feels like, right? Like when you
Right.
get to the same results. So I think that's where the real use case is, just like when we started with was it baby AGI, auto GPT. We were when it started off with the promise that, oh, you give it a task, it'll go take care of everything. It didn't pan out, but it had some very specific use cases it work for. I think we'll get to a point where if this really is that good of a reasoning and it's a mediocre grad student, I don't think we found the right level of questions to ask it to see value. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of demos like you and I saw that were just show and tell, from solving a lot of gaming issues, solving uh, crosswords. All that is looking better, but I don't think we have seen a home run victory with the use case that completely separates O1 from what photo can do at this point.
Correct. But here's the thing, right? Like, jokes apart, I think this is bringing something important to the surface, right? Because when it all started, we had this problem of what's in this black box. Nobody understands what it is.
Mhm.
It just spits out something. Now, this is probably an effort to show this is what we think is happening inside the box. And if we can control this, then we can control the output, right? So if this is almost like request for proposal, like when people see this reasoning process, I'm pretty sure experts in this area are like, oh, you're missing that one important critical step in the process of thinking. Why don't you plug that? So this is inviting more collaborative effort into this whole process where it's going to take the system. Eventually, I think we all like fast answers, but the multi-step reasoning process is now being exposed in some way, so people can critique it and make it better. That's a pro or positive side of things, right? That to I think as a group of people reviewing this product, I think people come up with good stuff, and they'll get plugged into the system at some point.
That is absolutely right. So I know it's the more it shows behind the function, to your point, the more we can tweak it or at least give feedback to the system to improve it. So I feel like we're very early in this. I feel like in 2 weeks when we speak, we're gonna have a completely new use case that just blew our mind. So I can't wait to see that. So I think again, I'll reserve a judgment. We can still make fun of it, but we'll reserve a judgment until some expert does like a hardcore medical research or something that's going to take a little bit more brain cells to solve. And if it gets to that, I think that'll be a good use case we can talk about in 2 weeks, or at least we have a topic for 2 weeks.
Right. So another short test, right? The complex math problem. Again, I didn't verify any of this, or probably we had to go to task on this and verify. But it's definitely the 4O answer differs from the O1 preview, right? That basically says yes, it spent nearly the. Okay, let's go. How long it spent? It's about 86 seconds. So
Oh wow.
this took way more time to come up with the answer. So the goal here is in the mathematical problem solving, which has always been a subject of debate and fun, poking fun at it. Now, 413 the right answer? We have to verify that. But if it is, then it all make sense. The 80 whatever seconds extra definitely is useful to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't know what the right answer is, so who somebody knows it, please let us know. But the bottom line is, if it really took 80 seconds, but it came with the right answer instead of the photo answer, which could be a hallucination, now we are cooking, right? What I mean by that is now there's really some value in it and some deep research and deep coding and mathematics. Folks will absolutely, whether it's not a function of, hey, let's get the fastest answers, but let's get to the correct answers, right? So
Yeah, it went through a lot of steps here in 86 seconds, right? So it's very detailed, right? I'm pretty sure people can run this. Whoever has a paid account can go through this and verify. But that's probably where the value is, like you said. If it is accurate, then it's worth the wait.